3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Good afternoon, everybody, or especially for Kate. Good afternoon! Good morning.
Don't you be mean.
Kate has a ear infection, but we do thank her for joining us. But welcome along. This is LTD. It is whatever it is. LTID TV.
I've got an ear infection, but you can't talk.
Well, I've never been able to. Do you know what's annoying? Is that I'm spending all my time. I've had the cleaner around this morning.
Is that a euphemism?
That sounds posh, doesn't it? You know.
Is that a euphemism or not?
Sorry?
Is that a euphemism?
No. I do have a cleaner, but she never puts everything right back in the right position, because that way she says, I know she's cleaned it. Now, normally, if I leave everything like on the display behind, I know that sort of next time she comes, she'll move it all again and it'll be back where it was.
Yeah.
But with all my display here and all my laptops and everything, I have to suddenly think, oh, where she put that sort of thing, you know. But you're making me seasick.
Sorry.
That's all right. But welcome along. Good afternoon. This is Pick and Mix. We didn't get on so well our last game out. I think Kate is going to put all that right and pick a starting 11 that's going to make us sure we're 4-0 up by half time. You didn't watch the match even live, did you? Because you were at the was it Legends evening?
Yeah, I had the Leicester Legends evening on Tuesday night. So that was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I loved it and had really good seats. I did the meet and greet as well. So I got to meet the legends and have a photograph. So I felt quite comfortable and quite, what's the word when you sort of very happy with myself that I wasn't at home.
You were in a nice place.
In a nicer place. And when I saw the 2-0, 1-0, it's not beyond expectation every week, is it? But when the second goal came in, I was like, what is going on? But yeah.
All I will say is I had to sit through it and I actually had to talk about it, which was probably even worse. I wrote down at half time, is this the most Rude-like performance under Marti? And it was like transforming us. But I thought I'd suddenly turned into David Tennant and gone back in time. I was watching Leicester from last season, especially with the new sponsors on. So yeah, it was an awful performance, and everybody was kind of saying, you've probably obviously watched the highlights since, and everybody was saying, yeah, but the second half was better. But saying, but then Hull stood off us. You know what I mean? They're 2-0 up. They just had to sit there, let us come at let us come at them, and then hit us on the break as they regularly did. And I have to say, I think if Ollie McBurney had been fit, we would have lost that maybe 3 or 4-1.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen with the highlights, I don't know whether I've sort of read a bit about this as well, that we did generate a few more big chances, so we didn't put them away. So we had Ayu's chance in the first half where we just scuffed it, and then we had was it was it a Ramsey chance as well before he scored? So we had a couple of big chances, but it just didn't look like we were at it. The defending that I saw for both goals left a lot to be desired, and some basic defending techniques just not followed. And yeah, that partly explains the reason for my team selection today.
Well, I'm going to discuss this.
I weighed it in for you.
Yes, I was a bit shocked when I saw it, but we will come to that, because the team selection, when that came up for the whole game, both me and Tom, who would obviously do the pre-match for the watch along, we both said we're going to lose this. Now I understand Ricky being left out because he can't play, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. And I don't think there's really an excuse to say, well, we were the late kickoff. You're talking about a couple of hours, or even this sort of, they're travelling back from, the other side of the world. Yeah, well, they're in first or business class, where, they're probably a better bed than I've got in my bedroom. But when I look at that, I'm thinking like, okay, so you're resting some players. For example, why is Ramsey rested? He's like 21, is he, or something like that? I mean, he surely, if he can't play 3 games a week, there's something wrong. You've got a player who has been our player of the match for a couple of games and was scoring, for fun. You put him out of position into a position, which he wasn't very good at. And then when you make the sub, you actually take off James and keep Samari on instead of dropping James back. So I have to say, my performance for the match for the team was a 2.
Oh, yeah.
I know. And like I say, none of this sort of, well, they got better in the second half. Of course we did, because they didn't. Why would they risk anything? 2-0 up.
Oh, but also it couldn't get any worse, could it?
Sorry?
Also, it couldn't have got any worse.
It couldn't have got any worse, no. So I take the fact, people saying it was a better second half, had to be, like you say, couldn't be any worse. But also, like I say, it was whole workbox, just sitting off us. And Marti Cifuente, as his rating for the match, I'm afraid I gave him a 2 as well, because I think he has taken a bit of the blame, but I do put it down to him. Now, I'm gonna here we go. Let's delve in, shall we, and see what we have here now. Let me just say, starting off with Stelarczyk in goal, I agree with you. So let's start off on a good note. But, I mean, again, when you look at that whole game, he didn't really have an awful lot to do. They weren't peppering the goal. And when they were shooting, they weren't always on target. He probably had 6 saves to make, maximum for the game. So he didn't really have a lot to do. But I am going to take issue with your back line here.
Go for it.
First of all, Ricardo, I have to agree with you. He has to be back. Hamza,
25% agreement.
Yeah, yes, just to get an awful lot better, but yeah, 25% agreement. Hamza we know if Ricardo's fit, he has to be the one that's being played. Wout Faes. Now, let me ask you about Wout Faes. I was very impressed. As you know, he's not my favourite player. But as I said when Marti took over, everybody's going to get a clean slate. And, when he was coming on in those last 20 minutes before the transfer window, he seemed to be really up for it. And he made a difference. Marti then obviously said when the transfer window was shut, right, you're with us, your head's in the right place, I'm going to play you. I won't go as far as Steve, who does the review show with me, who says he never wants to see this man in any form of blue whatsoever again in his life. I maybe won't go that far, but Okoli, he's got to. That phase has almost gone back to, well, I'm here now, you can't get rid of me, play me. And the worry is, and this is something that's sort of been cropping up, is this really now Marti's team, or is this the team that he's been told to play to put them in the shop window?
I personally don't believe any manager would be told to play people to put them in the shop window. You wouldn't take the job. I think he genuinely believes that's the best of what we've got. And that's the problem. What I have with people that don't like Marti or want Marti out is that there's not a lot he can do right now because he hasn't had enough transfer windows. He's had a look at the full squad, and this is what he thinks is the best of what we've got. And I can't really argue with it because I've said before on Lox's show and a couple of other things that Ben Nelson is the poorer version of Vestergaard right now, by all intents and purposes. And Akoli, I think, has similar mistakes in him to Fass, but I think Fass just edges it for me. And yeah, I mean, who else have we got? I think that's it, isn't it? And there's just those two in backup. And apart from going into if you want to go into the kids and look in the under 18s or under 23s or whatever, what else have we got to go on? And I think it's literally, and it will come on to the left back as well, it's a back line, really, even with Ricardo, because Ricardo is not the Ricardo that we signed.
No.
The back four is literally the best of the bad bunch.
I get what you're saying. And hi, Prashant, how are you doing?
I agree with Steve. Do you mean Elm? Is that Elm that you said?
Yes, yeah. Who I know has been on Lox's as well.
I don't want to see Rui Fast play, but
no.
I feel like he's the best of what we've got. I think he's always got a mistake in him. I think his concentration span is always in question. Yannick, I think, has been one of our better players this season. And that's just where we are. And until we get a chance to get rid of Fass or his contract runs down or we can spend some money, we're kind of stuck. And that has been the problem with these horrendous PSR years, is that we're stuck.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And I know, look, as I said, I gave Marti a 2 for his performance because I think poor first choice of starting 11 and poor substitutions. There's no way I want him to go because I think that's just bloody stupid. Do you know what I mean? We're going to turn into Nottingham Forest if we're not careful. Oh, did I say that out loud? But yeah, I think you've got to look, if you're only going to give a player, say, 45 minutes, and he's your better player, put him on at the start because you don't want to be chasing games. I agree what you're saying. Ben Nelson could not play with Yannick Vestergaard. You know, they're too similar for me. For Wout Faes, 100% agree with everything you say, apart from I don't think that he should be starting. You know, give him that role that he had before where he comes on at the last 20 minutes and say, go and prove it to me again, because I think he's just comfy in that position. So I agree with Yannick Vestergaard. Yannick Vestergaard, we know what his strength is, puts the ball over the top and he lands it on a sixpence, you know. And I was watching Wout Faes against Hull and we were playing a lot of long passes, but the definition of a pass is that you are passing it to somebody. All our long passes. Yes, well, yeah, exactly. But all our long passes were passing to the people sat in row A behind the goal because they were overhit, the crosses were overhit. And that's what, you know, there was some awful defending. And Yannick had a little bit of this where we were just booting the ball clear just to get it away. But when he was trying his passes out phase, they just weren't coming off. And I think Akoli's no better, Akoli's no worse for me. But let's. I think Wout's got to be dropped for me. Yeah, but this is your team. But I agree with Vestergaard. Like I say, the only other option really is Nelson, and he is sort of too similar. Left back, yeah, why not? Let's give this a go because Thomas was disappointing the other night. Christiansen, I've forgotten about Aluka because I always think of Aluka as a right back, but he can play on that side, can't he?
Yeah, we can do. Yeah, sorry, one sec.
That's okay.
Just needed to cough there.
That's right.
Yeah, so for what I've seen the past few games, including the Hull highlights, the left back position is one of our biggest problem areas. I'd argue it's as urgent as the number 9. So, if not more urgent, because with the number 9, we still don't know what Carranza's capable of, really.
Yeah.
With the left back situation, the 2 senior members of the squad, if you can call them that, are struggling massively. I don't like VK. I prefer Thomas over VK.
He says that. In fact, I was watching one of the shows from about 3 weeks ago that we did this because I was seeing how the layout was to remind me, and you said exactly the same thing then. So you're consistent, but no, I know where you're coming from. I do know where you're coming from.
So yeah, with those 2, it's the best of a bad bunch, and from what I've seen of the Hull highlights and the last couple of games before that, Thomas has made errors.
Yeah.
And it's some of the errors that he makes are the innate side of the game, where I think you either have that nous or you don't. And that's the worry. He isn't aware enough, which is exactly the problem with Hamza. Hamza's not aware enough, and someone's run behind him, pulled his pants down, and he doesn't know. He just feels a draft all of a sudden. But with Luke, I think it's similar. Like, I think Luke is probably better than Hamza, in my personal opinion. I feel like he lacks confidence and he doesn't like to go forward. He's quite restrictive, like Hamza as well. But for me, that left back position, I think both of them are below 5 out of 10 at the minute. And therefore, I think, why not give someone a go like this kid? It might not go so well. It's going badly anyway. And I think if you are prepared to use someone like Monga, who's so young, why not try this kid? Even if it's for 45 minutes, even if it's, I just want to see a bit more of him. I think like the last 30 or something like that. I can't imagine he'll start, but it's time to start some cogs turning with that position in particular.
No, I mean, and look what I've just written down here. Don't know if you can see that, youth.
Yeah.
Because I get fed up with all this. All our new managers really into youth. You know, Cooper, he'll play the youth, and then there was, Rude and all these managers. And yet, where are the youth? They're not even on the bench. You know, El made them. You know, Steve said, like, what did they do? Say, right, you signed this contract, right? Well done. Doors there. It takes you to the under-21s again. You know, we're not. Oxford was saying that Nelson was too good for Leicester, and yet now he can't even seem to make it onto the subs bench. You know, we're saying this is the time when the youth's coming good and all that. Well, where is it? You know, we're not even seeing it on the bench. And I think if he'd started some of the youth against Hull, yes, we would have been annoyed if we'd still lost. Of course we would do. And we would critique some of the games. But at least we would be saying they gave it a go. He's shown that youth. Sticking, and this is the thing with Marty, he is between a rock and a hard place because, you know, this isn't his team still. There's a lot of players there that he's got to play because, we know this was the team from Ruud van Nistelrooy, less the best of the shit, and we're just left with the rest of the shit. But, you know, play the youth and, you know, Aluko, let's see these players and let's see what they can do. But that, you're quite right, for me, that is a hell of a problem position.
Yeah, it is. I don't quite like how the fans are making Marty live by the sword and die by the sword with the youth element, because he has development to consider as well. It's not just a case of throw him in and if it's shit, don't worry about it. You've got to then pick up these players who will have the devastation of thinking we got spanked 4-0 in the Championship by Blackburn Rovers because he played me and I'm not good enough. Therefore, I'm not good enough. I'm never going to make it. You've got a risk of the management side of it going really wrong. And that's why I think if you think that he isn't prepared to play the youth, then all you have to say is Monga, right, who's one of the youngest. And I think Marty clearly thinks that Monga is perhaps the only one that's good enough right now.
I get what you're saying, and you
we
can't
don't know
argue.
what they're like in detail.
We don't, and it does annoy me, and I'm going to be honest here, and I'm not having to go at you here, but it does annoy me when people turn around and say to you, or say to me, well, you don't know what's going on the training pitch. I'll say this now, and I said this the other day, I don't give a fuck what's going on the training pitch. Because Rude was using that all last year. Well, they don't do this on the training pitch, and they're good on the training pitch. What? It doesn't matter. They can, I when I was a manager of a sales team, I can come out of a training session saying he was really good in that, he nailed it, and then he doesn't make a sale all week. It's what they do on those 90 minutes. And I'm not saying just throw them in.
Well, you are kind of saying that.
No, I'm saying put them on. I want to see them on the bench. We had
still going to bring the arguments of you don't play the youth, though, isn't it?
Oh no, but bring them on for 10, 15 minutes. Let's see what we can do. I mean, what the hell? I mean,
but you are saying here that Fataru's under 21, Ramsey's 21, JJ.
Yeah, but they're not our youth, are they? They're not our youth.
It doesn't matter. It's a very young team. Jakob's 23. Luke Thomas is 25.
That's old. Unfortunately, we have to accept that. Ayu's 78 or something, and he got into the first team. You know what I'm saying, though? Bobby Dick-Over-Reid was picked. And I think the fact that we're picking these players, and we know as fans, Ayew, like I said, when we saw that team against Hull, Ayew on the wing, who would put Jordan Ayew on the wing? Now, if Andy King's there, he should have been saying to Marti, don't do that. We did that last season. It was bloody awful.
Yeah, potentially.
So why not start a young player? And if he's struggling,
longer. We've started him, and to me, he's looked out of his depth. He has a few moments, but he's no way near as ready as Fataru, for example.
No, of course he's not.
He's older, but he's looked out of his depth, hasn't he? So you have to manage that. That's the difficulty Marti has.
Yeah, you do, and what Marti does is he'll play. If he's fit, he'll play Mavididi and then bring Monga on for the last 20 minutes or so, as he did against Hull. Why can't he do that with others? But look, let's get back to your team. We will agree to disagree on that. I don't want to throw them all in, but when you look at some of the players, like the Wout Phases, how the hell did Soumare start, for fuck's sake? And how the hell did he stay on the pitch when... Jordan James, when Aaron Ramsey was brought on? These are the decisions that we're looking at and going, we all know Soumare's shit. Sorry, Brad, if you're watching. I know he's your love child, but we all know he's shit. How the hell is he still getting anywhere near the team? He's going at the end of the season. I mean, I think if we gave Soumare a contract extension, they'd be banging down the gates of the KP with fire sticks and crosses to nail people to. Yeah, like something out of the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Talking of the midfield, I've got to say, there's no other option. Harry Winks and Jordan Ayew.
Jordan Ayew?
Jordan Ayew. Oh my God!
You want him in,
Justin the other night.
You love him, really. You want him in.
Bring back Daniel Amati. That's what I say. When's his son going to be picked? Jordan James. Sorry, they've got to be the starting two, haven't they?
Yeah, and I do think it was an interesting pick from Marti in the week with JJ moved into the number 10, didn't he?
You are being very polite. Interesting.
Wait a minute. This is the problem with some fans. They don't listen to others. So come on. The interesting thing I see is that we played Saturday, Tuesday, and with Aaron Ramsey coming back with a very, very, very bad ACL, worse than Ricardo's, he clearly can't play Saturday, Tuesday.
He was playing for Burnley before we signed him.
Was he playing Saturday, Tuesday?
I don't know. I don't follow Burnley.
He's had a horrendous ACL, worse than Ricardo's. He was out for a lot longer. And if you ask any footballer who has screwed their knee over, Saturday, Tuesday or Saturday, Wednesday is tough. And he's still very much in his recovery. And I think that's what's coming into it, which is why we've got him on loan. That's part of the reason why we've got him on loan, because of this injury. So I think that was the reason. I wouldn't have done it, but Bobby was also injured. So he lost that option.
Louis Page?
I think Louis Page looked really weak when he came on before. I thought he needs to build up a bit. He got out.
Weaker than Soumare?
Huh?
weaker than Samari. I mean, if he hadn't picked Samari and he'd done James in that same position, what we lost by moving James forward to the Aaron Ramsey was more than we gained by doing that.
Yeah,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean?
I totally agree.
So
I'm just explaining the reason why it looked a ridiculous decision, but he didn't have his two number 10 options. In Ramsey can't play 90-90 and Bobby was injured.
but have we not got other players?
Obviously not, that he thinks.
But this is about us.
It is about us, but I didn't like the look of Louis Page. I know it's really controversial, but when he started that game earlier in the season, was it game 1 or 2? I thought he was hassled off the ball way too easily. He's not quite physically ready yet. That's my personal view. I think he will get there. I think his movement was great. He looked really comfortable on the ball, but I think he will just get out muscled at the moment. That's my personal
Aaron Ramsey came on at half time. So if he's fit enough to play 45 minutes, plus obviously stoppage time, would he not have been better playing the first 45? And then if he's struggling, then take him off? Because if he'd have done that,
every manager that you will ever see, how many times do we say about early in the cup runs or stuff like that? Why don't you play your best first and then take them off at half time? For whatever reason, and I don't know what the answer is, managers don't do that. For whatever reason, they wait till you've gone behind at half time and then bring the cavalry on. And I don't get it, and I never have.
You're in a feisty mood this lunchtime, young Kate, aren't you? Which I love. We shouldn't be sat here agreeing with everything. But that said, I do agree with Winks.
I just think the whole playing the youth drum that's banging, you're at risk of cutting your nose off to spite your face, and it still won't stop the moaning when we lose. That's my personal view.
That is the problem, and I was saying that is that we probably would still moan to a point, but we said with Rude last season, we were losing anyway, and it's different this season. So why aren't you trying some of these players? Why aren't you trying something different? And when people come back to me and say, well, we haven't got the options, we have, and let's try them. If it doesn't work, giving Louis Page another chance in a position and keeping Samari out the team, that doesn't lose us anything, in my opinion, of Samari. But look, we were agreeing on that.
The difference with Rude and where I got really frustrated with Rude, particularly in the closing 5 games or so, when it was over, it was well over. There was no risk to it. We're going down, so try it. Marti's got a risk problem now. He needs to manage it. And you have to assess every single game. Do I risk starting a youngster where we could end up performing worse? Because we've got something to lose. We're top half of the table. We're just outside the playoffs. We've got much more to lose this season. We were going down last season anyway. That's what I didn't understand about Rude. Rude played that same 11 that had arguably let him down all season, even though we were already down and there was nothing to lose anymore. But that's what I didn't understand about Rude. This guy, he's got a lot to lose. We're doing okay. We could be doing better, but we're still sort of within touching distance of the playoffs. The league is so concertinaed. You've got something to lose. I do personally think that when we had that issue under Rodgers with the back line and we were relying on our lovely Daniel Marti,
Hi, Dave.
Luke Thomas got thrown in. And Luke Thomas was like 19, 18, whatever he was at the time, and was thrown in at the deep end. I feel like he had an okay start and he looked comfortable, no different to anybody else. And then you gradually saw that week after week, playing 90 after 90 after 90, his confidence dropped and he regressed. And that for me, a lot of Thomas's progression will be partly down to his own talent and his own ability, but also down to the fact he was thrown in the deep end in the shit and he couldn't handle it as a 19-year-old. And I think that you just have to be mindful of that.
No, like I say, I do feel like I'm poking the bear a little bit here, but
I enjoy it. I like it.
No, agreed.
I read a lot online, and I don't reply I don't respond to things online because it's ridiculous.
Yes.
But when I've got a chance to talk about this kind of thing and explain why I feel like I do, I will explain how I feel like I do, because you can't do that on socials because you haven't got enough characters to type.
No,
this is the right forum to have this discussion, because it's not just as easy as, well, you said you play the youth.
No, I agree totally. And as I always say, please, if you're watching and you know me, I play devil's advocate.
Exactly,
That's in my contract.
But similarly, if we hang on to Marti, and I hope we do, because culturally, the Leicester legends that I saw on Tuesday night said the biggest thing about Leicester in that amazing period was mainly because of culture. Because it wasn't talent. They weren't the 11 most talented players on the pitch. It was all about culture and behaviour and standards. And that has considerably dropped. And I feel like culturally, Marti's the best managerial fit probably since Claudio. And
like I say, I'm not one of these that...
And I hope he's given the opportunity that once these kids are maybe a year to 18 months older, he might well be playing them all.
Do you think it was a little bit... Because, look, I could say I did score him low, but there's no way I want him gone. When you look at the alternatives that we could have had, a bit of bullseye, here's what you could have done.
That's what your article said, didn't it? When you look back.
Yeah, Russell Martin. Have you done one this week, by the way?
I've just thought that. I'll do one this week. I'll do one at some point.
I've been looking for it.
I'm not feeling well, and then I was out Tuesday night, and
this is the thing. It is literally time, and it's funny when you're only doing it like Gracia. You're thinking, I can't be, but that's going to the bottom of the list. But yes, and it's funny. Danny Roll has now gone to Rangers. Sean Dyche has gone to Nottingham Forest. I think he was winning last night. I don't know whether he actually did win or not, but I think that's quite a good fit, I think. But yeah, I think Danny Roll is the best person. It doesn't mean I'm not going to criticise him if I think he does things wrong, which I think he did against Hull. He got a lot wrong. I put the defeat was on his shoulders, I'm afraid. But there are a lot of players, as you say, and this is what Steve says a lot. He said it's their attitude. They haven't got the right attitude.
You could probably pick out in that starting 11 there that I've done. Let's say Luke Thomas is in there because he's more of a mainstay in the Leicester camp at the moment. Yeah. He's an old guard really now. There's probably Ricardo, I think Luke Thomas, Fatawu, and I can't really comment on anything else. Those three in particular, I would say at the moment, are the only ones I'm 100% convinced have the right cultural attitude to play for Leicester City.
Yeah. So that was Ricardo again.
Luke Thomas and Fatawu.
Yeah. Luke Thomas, at least, like you say, he's got the right attitude, which you can't train. Unfortunately, he hasn't maybe got the talent to go with it some of the time.
Re-signed. I was disappointed that we re-signed him when money's tight, but there obviously wasn't a lot else on the table. I don't know, but if that means we can get some money for him in the summer, if he has a decent season, then we've done well. It's all about it's getting all your moving parts into place all the time, isn't it?
Yeah. Having kind of disagreed with you earlier about Ramsey, I'm now going to agree with you because yes, he should be in, and B, we don't know what the deal was with Burnley. They could have said, yes, you can have him on loan, but please, if you're playing midweek games, because they know what it's like because they've just come out of this division, please, if you're playing midweek games, don't start him. I mean, we said when the players went off on international duty, Marty said about Fatawu and Ghana, please be careful with him. So it could be that Burnley was saying that when we signed him on loan.
Yeah, and Leicester's medical team have had Ricardo, JJ, and now him.
The old JJ.
Injuries, the old JJ the second behind Julian Jones. They've had ACL injuries, so there's an experience of helping guys recover and get back to fit. And Fatawu, sorry, how can we forget Fatawu? Fatawu as well. So we've got experience in that, and that middle three there, Winks, JJ, and Ramsey. That probably, without question, is the best three in the Championship in those positions.
Totally. Are we relying too much on Fatawu because he didn't have a brilliant game? And not his fault. Look, both him And Monga, when he was coming on, they had 2 or even sometimes 3 players on them. Because if any manager in this division is worth their salt, they will have looked at what happened last time we were in this division when Fatawu and Mavididi were both playing well, and then obviously reading about Monga, and they're going to say those are the main threats. Let's snuff them out. And I also sometimes think if Fatawu doesn't have a good game, Leicester don't have a good game.
Yeah, because I don't think we generate enough through the middle. I mean, whilst we've said in that breath that Winks, JJ and Ramsey are probably the best 3 in those positions, I don't feel like they're pushed further forward enough in the transition. I still feel like Winks and JJ hang back a bit, maybe 5 yards, and are too close to the defence because we're all a bit cagey. That's the issue with this Leicester team, and the culture of the camp is still very much Enzo ball. I'm on the possession. Let's keep it as long as possible. Let's just pass it. That usual stuff where you saw how Hull played. Hull was so direct. We didn't know what to do. So with Fatawu, it's easy to isolate him out the game because you can just put two players on him, and the threat. We don't seem quick enough on the uptake to pick up that. Okay, Fatawu's got 2 men on him. That means one guy must be free.
Yeah.
Can't push and take advantage of that opportunity. So we do rely on Fatawu, and the issue I find with Fatawu, and it's an unpopular opinion, he's a very, very, very good one-trick pony. He will bomb around the outside, cut inside, and try and score a worldie from his left. And they're coming off more than most players can pull off. Don't get me wrong, it's amazing to watch, but you know what he's going to do. And that's a bit of his excitement and a bit of his youth, but he's better than that. I'd love to see him run into the box more and drill it on the ground.
Yes,
He's good enough. He's more than good enough. So we just need to. There's not a lot of, I don't know the word, like that on the spot thinking when we're in attack.
And for me, and I've said this, and God, I'm agreeing with you again. Fatawu, look, when he pulls it off, they are superb. Every 10 times he'll probably score maybe 1/2 goals. 6 or 7 of them will go into row Z. A couple of them straight at the keeper. But sometimes he's got a pass on, but he doesn't take that pass because he wants to do the worldie. So look. But you've got.
When Winks and JJ do push forward, you saw it against Swansea when JJ got in the thick of it. I think Daka offloaded to him and he hit the post. Do you remember that move? JJ was further forward to pick the ball up and he created mayhem. And that's what we need. We need in attack, we need Winks and JJ to be in the final third. And they're not quick enough with it. Like JJ's better than Winks. And I know Winks has to patrol a bit and he has a bit of a different role. But we really don't attack in numbers. We defend in numbers, which means when we counter-attack, or not that we're very good at counter-attacking, which doesn't make sense because of the speed in that team should be counter-attacking all day long. But when we do attack, I feel like we've still got the back 4 and Winks and James still in position. So you've got a back 7 and you're relying on 4 people to score a goal for you. Why are we attacking with at least 6?
Hull, in that second half, that was all they were doing was counter-attacking. And they were bloody good at it, you know.
Ranieri used to do that. I remember like Ranieri, and this is the fullbacks again, Ricardo's great at it, but with Luke Thomas, like we used to have Jeff Schlupp, and Jeff Schlupp arguably wasn't the greatest footballer on the planet.
But he was fast.
He could sprint his socks off and he would always make himself available in the box. And we missed that.
Yeah, no, I'd say not my favourite. Rose Ed was one of his sort of favourite places to put the ball, but like you say, he could run at people, and that's going to cause its problems.
The other option is with Schlupp. If you remember that famous moment when Vardy got sent off, Schlupp went on to win the penalty because he ran into the area. You don't know what can happen. Yes.
My most amazing Schlupp moment is when, before I was doing YouTube, and I literally tweeted, "Oh my God, they've brought Schlupp on," and I just touched send, and he scored. I was like, what they say? Well, that lasted long, you know. But Abadidi on the other side, if he's fit, Yeah, I think you're right again with Monga. Look, we get excited by Monga. He's had to be starting recently. As far as I understand it, of what I've read and listened to, he's back training on the grass, and if he is fit enough, he will play. Now, whether that's the start or coming off, I don't know. But I think the good thing we've got with that, and I've said this before, it is very much reminds me of the Okazaki uh, uh, thing where he'd only ever play 60 minutes, basically because he was fucking knackered. You know what I mean? But you know, one of those will play 60 minutes, hopefully tire the defenders out, and then the other one will come on. So I would agree with you there. I prefer Monga coming on. I have to be honest with you. It gives him longer to do his homework in the changing rooms. But now here's going to be controversial. Taking aside that you've got the hots for him.
Are you trying to sound shallow?
Would I ever say that? You know, I'm sure if he had 10 twin brothers, we'd have a whole team of Carranzas here.
Absolutely.
But I was very disappointed. And yes, I know it was his first start. Yes, he only had 60 minutes. He was yanked off again. In that 60 minutes, he had one shot. Now, I was disappointed with him. When you look at his heat map, it wasn't, attacking, focused. But, then again, Jordan Ayew's not, is it? But I tell you what we did miss, and I can't believe I'm saying we missed Daka. You're not going to get goals with Daka, but what you're going to get is him running at the goalkeeper, running at the defenders, closing them down. Carranza, he's not that sort of player. And when we were trying to get crosses into the box for him, they were going out for a throw into the opposition because they were that hard and balls over the top. Dare I say, oh, please God forgive me for this, please. Dare I say we should be starting Daka?
No, I'm not going with it.
You thought about it for a minute, or you were just polite.
This isn't like Carranza's had 4 minutes in comparison to Daka. Yeah. He's had 4 years, and I've never seen anything different than what you're going to get with Patson Daka. I would love him to score. I would absolutely love him to score, just for his own personal achievement. I think he's coming up to a year since his last goal.
Yes, I know.
Marti said Carranza needed time, and I think we have to give it him. And we know what Daka's about. Chapter and verse, we know what he's about. And I know that you say he runs a lot, but I feel like he runs without intent and aggression. And when he does challenge a goalkeeper, he doesn't look like he's ever going to throw a leg in there. I just find like he's too polite. Carranza might be the opposite. I feel like Carranza's a walking booking most of the game. Yeah. He's very physical and he'll learn. But I just think, we know chapter and verse of Daka. And for me, he's had a flash in the pan so far, Carranza has, and we've just got to persevere. And he needs better service. What with Fatawu trying to shoot for row Z every shot. How about you drill it in and see if Carranza can get on the end of it or get the second ball, or you know what I mean? You've got to try and provide the guy some service. And a lot of that again goes back to my point about the play through the middle in attack.
I must admit I was poking the bear again there because, if those that know me long enough, this was my argument with Iheanacho, because we had Vardy, and this obviously it's different in a way, but Iheanacho never got to start. So he was playing 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there. And when you put a player in, you're going to have a bit of ring rust there. It's natural. Even whether you're coming back from injury, whether you're a new player. I have to say, I would have picked Carranza for this because you're up against Millwall, who are a very physical side. And let's be honest with you, the reason I was laughing before, I wasn't laughing at what you were saying. I was laughing because I remembered I was listening actually to the whole commentary rather than Leicester. Well, I think Matt Elliott, that went down and it was Hull anyway, but he just sent me to sleep. He's the sort of guy lovely guy, but if he was working at the other end on the phone at Samaritans and you rang him, you'd end up jumping. But where the whole guy, and Daka was through on goal, 1-on-1, and he went over, and he actually, I think, tackled himself He fell over, and the commentator and the co-commentator, the whole bit on the whole end were going, "Did I really just see that? Is that what really just happened? He fell over himself, didn't he? There, and yeah, that's what you get with Daka, and I think he'd spend more time on his arse if he was up against Millwall than anywhere. So yeah, I would have to go with Carranza. And again, it's purely a case that what other options are there? You could argue Jake Evans, but you're not going to throw him on. As I was saying about youth, maybe put him on and give him the last 10 minutes again.
Well, I'd like to see that actually. That would be my preference. That would be my two. I think.
Yeah, you see, you were coming around to my thoughts, but yeah, not
realistic and understandable because Daka is useless. I don't like Ayew as a number 9 particularly. I don't think he's as bad as what people say. I don't really understand a lot of the hate when he's the only one of those potential number 9s that has actually scored so far this season. So, but yeah, I think Carranza with Evans could be an opportunity there to, he's just signed the pro contract. It just depends if it's 0-0 at 80 minutes. I don't think you're bringing Evans on potentially.
No,
you could have one. So you could, young, fresh, fast. I don't know. It depends what he thinks Evans can offer in the closing stages. Because when that's what really annoyed me when Rude brought him on against Bournemouth at the end of last season, and it was like there was about 13 seconds to go.
Oh God, yeah.
He came on, got a bead of sweat on his forehead, and the referee blew his whistle, and that was it. Like, you didn't even need a bath. Like,
no, I agree. Really yeah, but like I say, for these youth players, I'm not saying throw them all on from the start, but what I'm saying is have them 10 minutes here, but have them on the bench ready to give them a chance. Very quickly.
Those, in my opinion, the left back and the number 9 are where you can genuinely say it's realistic enough to say that Martin could give them 10 or 15 minutes. I think every other position is just too much risk at the moment.
I wouldn't argue with that. Fadad there says, very, very quickly, Adi Akinbaye or Daka? I know which way I go. It's Daddy Chip's moment, isn't it? But
I think Akinbaye.
Yes, I think I would as well. And that is...
And not because he got naked before you start saying anything, not because he took his top off.
No, but I tell you what, when I took his top off, I'd bloody pick him every time because he scared me.
You wouldn't dare tell him that he's not picked with that kind of body.
Well, the funny thing was, I used to live in Burnley, and he signed for Burnley after he left Leicester. And I went to the ground, and where the teams come out, I was with my son, and of course I didn't have a Leicester top on because when I was in the away end because I couldn't get, in the home end because I couldn't get away tickets and what have you. And as he came out, I'd got my Leicester shirt on under whatever I was wearing, and I kind of went woohoo like that and got a Leicester. And he gave me a look for a second, and I thought, oh shit, But in fairness, he laughed and shook my hand at the end. But he probably wasn't expecting anybody to flash at him. No. My girlfriend, the Chinese AI, she's predicted a draw here. And if you look there, there's very little to choose between them. But look at Millwall's 1-1-1. They've only, we've only lost one in fairness, but this will be their 4th win if they win this one. They're up to 3rd. Funnily enough, and I found this really fascinating, but then maybe I do need to get a life. But I found a thing where it says home advantage. They say like, if they're playing at home, it's an advantage. But it also, I found this app, it also says if it's a negative advantage. So for Millwall playing at home, it's actually minus 21% advantage.
Oh.
I know. Boring
as you look, are you?
No, but I certainly do need to sort of maybe get some more friends. And they scored 13, but they've also conceded 13. But look, it's never an easy game going to the New Den anyway. But what did you predict? Give me your predictions. It's on I know it's in the group chat, but I haven't.
I think I predicted Leicester 2-1. There's
Did
no
you?
way. I just cannot see us not conceding at the moment.
No, I agree.
I just can't say that Leicester are going to lose. I just find it difficult. Or draw.
I was like that last season. I kept picking us to win, even though we were losing. I'm saying that, like, we've just lost 16 games. Surely we've got to win the 17.
Laura probability and all that.
Yeah. And then, no. Now, I've got to say that I have gone. A few people actually went for a loss. Tom went 3-1 loss, and Wayne actually also went 2-1 to Millwall. I've not been that unloyal. I have actually gone 1-1.
Yeah, that's probably my most likely, to be honest. But I'd like.
But you're third in the prediction league. I'm third from bottom.
I know.
So take into that what you will.
But I do think that Tuesday was going to hurt. Tuesday's going to have hurt us. Not just because it was a 2-1 defeat away from home on paper is like, well, okay. But the manner of the loss and the way that I think I've read that we've played, you got to look at yourself a bit. Everybody has, including Marti, So I'd like to think that those central three will be back as they were. Bobby's still not back.
No.
And I don't know. We've just got to start creating more big chances. The chance creation is where I personally think we're losing it, because you're going to make defensive mistakes with that back four. You're always going to. But the big chance creation, we are not doing enough to kill teams off.
Now, this is interesting because
Fun fact from Chris.
Some fun facts here. Fun Fact Friday. That should be a little section. I'm conscious of your time here. So just to quickly, Opta, who obviously do all the stats for FA. So is anybody going to do stats? I'm going to believe them. Now they have an actual expected and predicted tables options here. So where we are expected to finish, I'm not sure how they do this because they've got Southampton expected to finish second. We are, oh my God, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 from bottom.
So we're 13th.
Thank you. I got the phrase.
There's more than 20. We'll be 16th.
Yeah, 16th. Yeah, but we're predicted to finish third.
What a pointless set of stats that is.
I know, but it's Opta, so I can't get away with them. Sorry?
Who's done that?
Well, it's Opta.
That sounds so pointless to me.
Yes.
That sounds like a coulda, shoulda, woulda type of stat.
I don't tend to often quote the expected. I do tend to sort of stick with the predicted. But the thing I like about it is it's updated all the time. So after each result, it's updated. So last week we may have been predicted to finish second, if you know what I mean. So, but I have to say, I do hope you get 3 points in the prediction league this week, because it means Leicester have got 3 points.
Yeah, I need to catch an 8.
But are you going?
No, I'm not going tomorrow, no.
No, I don't blame you at all. It's not the sort of place anybody wants to go, is it? I think I'd sooner go and look for the Loch Ness Monster.
You join Russell Martin in the Loch Lomond.
Oh, God, yes. Yeah.
Probably taking a dip with his girlfriend.
But I could shake my hand I could shake Danny Roll's hand, couldn't I, though? So
that's an interesting choice for him to be the next hotshot manager, but go to the SPL.
A bit of a cop out, do you think? Because let's be honest with you, I know he's got the pressure of he's got to be above Celtic, but let's be honest with you, the chances are that if he plays it right, they'll finish second. So it's you finished second with Rangers, so what?
Yeah, I wouldn't have said it was his most desirable job at the start of all this when things started getting shaky with Sheffield Wednesday, and I think he was arguably maybe wanted to join us. I don't know. I think he rolled the dice and it didn't quite happen as he'd hoped, and that's just what can happen. But he's so young. I mean, he'll be hopefully back at some point.
Interestingly, there was 2 German jobs that he wasn't offered that he was linked with. So who knows? But good luck to him anyway. I don't wish him any particular harm. I did Russell Martin, but that's another story. Look, Kate, your lunchtime's nearly over. Really appreciate these sessions. Thank you very much. We nearly agreed on this. So
we agreed all the time, though.
No, it'd be very boring if we did, and it's all about opinions. Yours happens to be wrong, but it's all about opinions.
Not always right, but I'm never wrong.
Yeah, well, you said like a true female. That's all I'll say. Kate, thank you very much. Have a good afternoon and have a good weekend.
And you, bye.
Bye. There we go. Thanks very much to Kate there. She does this on a lunch hour. So we really do appreciate it. Did you know, and not a lot of people know this, did you know that you can see all the games except the 3:00 kickoffs for obvious reasons with a Now TV pass? NowTV.com. Go and check them out. Do go and check them out. Because and also you can get to see Premier League games. You can get to see Liverpool lose again. Hi, Doug. How you doing? You can get to see the Bundesliga. So there's a lot of choice for games there that you can see. All, like I say, with a Now TV pass. Well worth it. Well worth it, he says. I will be back. I'll be back. 7:00 this afternoon. 7:00 this afternoon? It's been a long week. I'm on holiday in a couple of weeks, and I am really looking forward to it. Just to say, we will be off air for a week, but I'll be in the sun. Who gives a shit? But I'll be back at 7:00 tonight, where we'll be reviewing the press conference. You stay with us. Thanks very much to everybody that was in the chat. Thanks if you've watched on catch up. Please add your comments in below as well, and what your starting team would be. Let us know what your starting team would be. And also, if you've been listening via your favourite podcast platform, whatever that may be, really do appreciate it. Take care, everybody, and I will see you later, hopefully. If you're an alligator, I will see you later.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network.
TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.